Greetings! It is Diane Cox here, and I am back with another Mythic Tarot extravaganza. So we have the suit of Pentacles to look at. I've already done videos on the suit of Cups and Wands and Swords, and so obviously we now have the suit of Pentacles. So the exciting Mythic Tarot deck, if you're not familiar, this is the book that goes with it. Superb deck, as I always say. And today we have kind of a tale of Deadalus, and he's an ambiguous figure because he starts off with such great promise and then kind of again does something that really doesn't do him any favors. But it's the middle bit that you have to just buckle up for. It's kind of one of these kind of mythic tarot, these mythic tales that are just like, how did that ever? Who ever thought of that? It's just like, these are meant to be gods. Why do we think gods? Well, I do. Maybe you don't. Why do we think gods are kind of, brilliant and just like, the perfect kind of person or god? They don't do anything like they do. Okay. Anyway, so let's start, shall we? So the deck, the Mythic Tarot deck, and the suit of Pentacles, the tale of Deadalus. So we start obviously with the ace, and in this, I'm already laughing, in this deck we have, in this suit we have the ace, and here we've got Poseidon, who plays quite a key figure in this quirky, weird tale. So the Poseidon figure here, the god Poseidon. Poseidon is kind of known as the god of the sea, but it's also obviously rivers and lakes and streams and all water that is found on earth. But also Poseidon was known as the earth shaker. He was sometimes portrayed as a dark figure with red eyes that came up from the bowels of the earth and used to stomp around to cause earthquakes. What's that figure in Lord of the Rings, the Balrog? Kind of that kind of thing. But here we have the uprush of energy of Pentacles. Pentacles are related to earth. So things that are not only earthly, like trees and animals and plants, and as you see there, the grapevine, which is kind of is a theme throughout all this suit. It's also earthly things, as in possessions, materialism, and money. But the suit does have obviously meanings that don't just apply to money, because it's the value. When you think of Pentacles, think of value, what we value in ourselves and all that kind of stuff. So the ace is about, there's Poseidon holding this huge rush, this like powerful disc, that pentacle that is being held in earth, in the hands of earth, in water, to amplify it and spread it. So you'll find that Pentacles are relating to that raw energy of earthly tangibleness, what we can see, touch and feel. And that includes actually ourselves. We are of the earth. So it does have an association with us as people and what we value about ourselves. And then we have the twos, obviously, and we've got here, we first meet Deadalus. There he is. Now, Deadalus is a ingenious creator. He works with, he was basically the inventor, they say, of the axe and the saw, which is why he's holding an axe and a saw there. And there in front of him, he has his table. He is a brilliant worksmith, fantastic ideas, and he's willing to work and basically put his ideas into being, bring them into being. So, and makes money. And the thing with the twos, it's the Two of Pentacles, it's also about using not only your skills, obviously, in order to make money, but it's also a suggestion that when you're on a in a business or you've got a new idea, to actually invest, reinvest, make sure that you're using what you make out of your business to plow back, to expand. It's about, the two is about, again, the knowing of self and, being materially minded, investing in your work, investing in your skills. And it's also a card that can suggest financial flux, because obviously when you're with money and you're kind of you're investing into a new project, you have to buy, you have to spend in order to get what you need in order to make your brilliant wares. Okay, so the two, here's Deadalus showing us his skills. The ace has polarized into two. There's so much potential here with Deadalus and his fantastic ingenuity, his axe that he made, his saw. So it's a card of industry, and it's a card of just being I think actually I also think it's a card of almost being mindful of, not mindful of money, but savvy of money. Start being savvy, unafraid. I think a lot of us in this world, we've grown up with all kinds of hang-ups around money, and given us to by society and teachings, spiritual teachings, religious teachings, or parental teachings, and you have to kind of make friends with money, don't you, eventually. So Deadalus is a brilliant craftsman, I should say, not a worksmith. He can make all kinds of unusual toys, and he becomes very, very popular in Athens. So he's from Athens. And in the three, what we see depicted here is Deadalus is becoming very well known for what he does. He's getting recognition. He is getting acknowledgement from people who are around. His reputation is spreading. So he has this initial success, and everybody wants Deadalus to build something for him, for them. And this is also a card not only just of financial reward and acknowledgement. It's also a card that that pulls into question, can Deadalus build on this success? It's a card of like character, because when you do readings and you have pentacles, even though they are money and materialism, we must also look at the character kind of aspects of what it shows. So the three is about character. He's had this initial success. Can he just carry on? Can he develop his success? Can it be maintained? Okay, and also it's knowing about, when you look at this card and you see there's a big crowd there wanting to give him their coins for stuff. It's also knowing about what your limits are, what you can do, what you can't do, promising too much and then not being able to deliver. Because if you have a new business, it's all very exciting, or a new venture, or a new feeling within oneself. It's all very exciting, but the character development is about knowing when to say, okay, if I take on too much, then I'm going to maybe have to cut down on the time I spend on creating each thing. And it's kind of knowing where your limits are and what you can and can't do. So even though you're being acknowledged and recognized for your skill in this Three of Pentacles, basically it's like, yeah, but know what your limitations are. It's great that everybody wants what you're making, superb, and then So it's great. Daedalus's life is really quite dandy. He's being recognised, he's known all over Athens, and people are coming to him, and he's building up his wealth, not only his material wealth, but his internal wealth, his sense of confidence, his sense of being, his esteem, all helped by everybody wanting what he has. And then something happens, which is life, isn't it? Something always happens. And this is what happens, okay? So here you have Deadalus clutching his 4 pentacles, clutching them to his chest, and he's looking not very friendly in a way, as you can see, at the young boy working on the bench there. Now this young boy is Talos. This is Daedalus's nephew. And Talos happens to be really quite brilliant. He's taken after his uncle. But Deadalus is feeling very threatened and has already seen how the boy is overtaking his own skills. So when you look at the 4 of Pentacles, the first thing we often see is the miserliness. It's often known as a card of the miser, isn't it? Keeping things to yourself and holding on to things. And this is a card, you can see it's a fear. It's a kind of fear of letting go. It's a stagnating energy. It's a fear of kind of moving forward. It's even a kind of, when you look at that, he's not wanting to help Talos and learn from him or help him be even better. He's just resentful. So he's resenting Talos's skill and is jealous of his own nephew. So see how this tight grasp, it just prevents flow, and not just of money, but of like I say, self-esteem. It's, Talos is a threat. And instead of just kind of taking up the mantle of challenge, he's got very jealous and his self-esteem is questioned. He's kind of feeling a bit wobbled by this competition from his own nephew. And, so the 4 of Pentacles, it's about don't let it stagnate. Don't hold on to stuff. Let it flow. Even if it's an unpleasant kind of feeling, it's always best not to kind of hang on to a pitcher of stagnant water. You must let it flow and pour it out. And I think it's a very good card if you get it to go, okay, what am I holding on to here? What am I afraid to let go of? What am I allowing to dictate to me? And, what's making me feel constricted and contracted? So that's the 4. Okay. Obviously, the 5s are a little bit of always normally a challenge. Now, this 5 shows Deadalus running in the dead of night. And why is he running in the dead of night, looking like a beggar? Because Deadalus killed his nephew. He murdered his nephew, okay? And not only did he murder his nephew, he threw his nephew off the roof of Athena's sacred temple. So he has a few angered annoyances, energy-wise, following him around. So he murdered his own nephew because he was so consumed with jealousy because Talos was so talented. And now he has to leave everything behind, okay? So he has to leave everything that he's built. He has to leave Athens in the dead of night, leave all his gold and his treasures behind, and steal away like the horrible criminal that he is. Now, they say that, Deadalus wasn't a bad man. He just had a bad moment that got the better of him, and now he's paying the price, and now has to leave everything. So the Five of Pentacles, the main theme here, as you can see, is loss. Okay. And not only loss of his wealth and his reputation, but a loss of something deep inside. You know, there's a loss, there's a shock that you know, I'm sure that he could actually do that. A shock that in a moment of anger that he killed his own nephew. So there's a loss of kind of faith in the self. You know, there's a loss of esteem. There's a loss of, you know, a human element of compassion and kindness. So this Five of Pentacles, now all the sun's come out, so it's kind of quite glary. So this kind of Five of Pentacles is also a loss in trust. Trusting yourself, trusting the process of life. So the Five of Pentacles is a big card of loss. He's losing everything. He's lost his faith, his money, his confidence, his identity, because he's got to sneak off in the night, which is not nice at all. But what do you do when you've killed your own nephew? And basically, he's his own worst enemy. So with the Four, you know, you can see him holding on and that restriction. And then in the Five, he's gone and shot himself in the foot. He's his own worst enemy. You know, he didn't have to do that, but he did, you know. And life is about choices. I always say this, life is about choices. And we have to take responsibility for the choices we make, as horrible as that is, or on many occasions as great as that is. So basically he has to sneak off. He's made a terrible choice. He killed his nephew and now he's sneaked off. But all is not lost for Deadalus. Some kind of godly divine force is looking after him, because here we have, can you see that with the sun on it? Let's have a look. Yes. Let me bring it close up. So here we have the Six of Pentacles. Now, the Six is almost like the polar opposite of the Five here, because it's about, so Deadalus sneaks off. He ends up in Crete, and he, again, his skills are marveled at, and he wins favor with King Minos. So Minos, King Minos, becomes his mentor, okay, and gives him, and his patron, and gives him lots of work and lets him, you know, gets him very well known. So here you've got Deadalus kneeling at the foot of King Minos, who's going to take Deadalus on and keep him to make toys for his children, and then people come to him and give him commissions and all kinds of stuff. So in this card, it's like a renewal of faith. The Six of Pentacles is about hope, charity. It's about sharing what you've got. And it's not always about being on the receiving end. It can be about being on the giving end, of benevolence. It is a card of luck, of finding yourself, you know, after a terrible dip in life, suddenly in the presence of luck and benevolence that is really helping you out. And that can be a person, or like I say, you can be helping other people out. But it's like a new beginning. It's a new start. Okay, so this nice, kind action from King Minos, him sharing his wealth, allows Deadalus to start again. And before, well, we won't go too much into before his before his thing catches up with him, because yeah. So there's a Six of Pentacles, a card of kind of sharing, luck, benevolence, giving, taking. If you have it, share it, you know, and being open to receiving. I think that's quite a big message, being open to receiving. Because sometimes, again, if you've got hang-ups about money, you're not open to receiving. Oh, now that sun's come out, so Let me just go and put the blind down, otherwise I look like a spectre. So then we go on to the 7 of Pentacles. So Deadalus has come to Crete. It's got the favour of King Minos, and King Minos is bunging him a load of cash and opportunity and thumbs up for Deadalus. He can carry on with his skillful trades. And then this happens. Okay, so here in this card you have a picture of Deadalus, and with him you have Pasiphae, and Pasiphae is King Minos's wife. Okay, and as you can see, there's a little white bull there, as the song goes. The little white bull, and there's Deadalus being offered a big, juicy pentacle by Pasiphae. Now, what is going on here? Let me tell you what's going on. Are you ready for this? King Minos, sitting there with all his money, was given a white bull by Poseidon, and Minos, King Minos, was supposed to sacrifice the bull to Poseidon. Okay, and one of those weird things that they do, sacrifice something living and beautiful for their own who knows what, satisfaction, bloodlust, who knows what. But Poseidon decided it was a particularly good quality bull, and it was outstanding in bullness, and so King Minos decided not to sacrifice the bull and keep it, and then sacrificed a different bull in its place, right? This enraged Poseidon. And you know what Poseidon did? Poseidon cast a spell on Pasiphae, right? The queen, to fall violently in love, in lust with this bull. Why would a god do that? Make a woman fall in love with an animal. And it wasn't just like love, let's go and sit by the water's edge together and watch the moonlight. No, it wasn't that. He cursed her with like a violent, a very strong passion, a lust for this bull. So she goes to Deadalus, and she asks Deadalus, "Are you ready for this?" She asks Deadalus. She gives him money in secret to build her a wooden cow so she can crawl inside it and mate with the bull. So Deadalus makes her a wooden cow, covers it with cowhide. Pasiphae crawls inside and mates with the bull. Okay. Oh, that's a hard one, isn't it? Oh, hard one. Okay, that is just so gross. Imagine being cursed to do that. Anyway, the card of the 7 of Pentacles is about difficult decisions. And it's not even about Pasiphae. It's about Deadalus being between a rock and a hard place, because Deadalus is very thankful to Minos for all his patronage and doesn't want to displease Minos. But also because Pasiphae has been cursed by Poseidon, if he refuses Pasiphae and basically doesn't kind of, do the will of the god in a weird way, then he will anger the god. So it's a difficult choice between Minos patronage and the wrath of Poseidon. And he chooses to build the wooden cow. So he chooses to build a wooden cow. Pasiphae gets in it, mates with the bull, And the resulting creature is the famous Minotaur of Knossos. Okay. But this card, the 7, is about, like I say, difficult decisions. It's between those. It's a card where you have to really think about making the right decisions, and you really have to weigh things up. This is what it's a bit like, the card in the Rider-Waite, where you've got all those cups with various things in it, and basically you have to think it through. It's about making the right choice, and the right choice for who, in a way. You have to make the right choice for yourself. It's about the certainty of what you know and the uncertainty of what you don't know, isn't it? That's what making difficult decisions is. It's about new opportunities versus security, and that's what you know. But the myth overrides it almost in this deck. It's like, oh God. Oh goddess. So that's the 7. Yes, I think that is a difficult decision for Deadalus to make, don't you think? Crikey Moses. Then there's a bit of a kind of the jump here when we get on to the 8, because what actually happens is, so he makes this thing, the cow, she mates, the Minotaur is born, and then King Minos basically asks Deadalus, not really knowing that Deadalus made the contraption that enabled it all. King Minos basically asks Deadalus to build a labyrinth so they can put the Minotaur in there, because he won't kill the Minotaur because, it comes from his wife. So, but obviously he doesn't quite know what's happened. He asks Deadalus to build a labyrinth, and they put the Minotaur in the labyrinth, and the labyrinth keeps the Minotaur from ever getting out. So the Minotaur can't escape the labyrinth. The only person that knows how to get out of the labyrinth is Deadalus. And what they do, they feed human flesh to the Minotaur. They have this ritual thing, once a year they have to take 3 men and 3 women and feed it to the Minotaur, and blah blah blah, more horror and gore. So this is before we get onto the 8. I'm telling you this because there's a bit of a gap. So he makes the labyrinth, the Minotaur is in there, and then what happens is Deadalus is found. Oh, what's he found out? Yeah, he's found out. So basically, Theseus comes to where the labyrinth is to kill the Minotaur, and Ariadne, Minos's daughter, helps Theseus by having a golden thread, and he goes into the labyrinth, kills the Minotaur, and finds his way out with his golden thread. Okay, and basically King Minos finds out about it, and he basically punishes Deadalus and locks him in a tower. This bit is missed out a little bit in this story, but you can't fit it all in 10 cards. And then what happens is Pasiphae, feeling a bit guilty, obviously, brings him flowers, brings him feathers and wax, and the famous story of Deadalus makes the wings. And in the story, you'll hear it's his son Icarus. You don't hear about Icarus in this, but Icarus is with Deadalus. Deadalus makes wings out of feathers and wax for him and his son on a wooden frame. They fly away from Athens and away from King Minos and the punishment. And basically, Icarus flies too high to the sun and falls and drowns. And Deadalus escapes. Okay, so what you see in the 8 is that all that has happened, right? All that has gone on. And what you see here in the 8 is that Deadalus manages to make it to a place called Cumae, and it's King Cocalus. So he makes it to Crete and King Cumae, and it's King Cumae who gives him a new beginning. And in this, it's like, okay, here we have the 8. He's starting afresh. It's a whole new beginning. Okay, he's almost like starting from scratch. So this Eight of Pentacles can be starting over. You might have a skill that you're starting afresh, or you might be expanding a skill that you already have. I always think the Eight of Pentacles is pay attention to detail, keep on doing what you're doing, and basically, just basically get on with it. Keep refining your skills, just keep plugging at it, head down and get on with it. So, kind of no messing about. New ventures, new beginnings, hard work. It's a card of hard work. You've got to start again. You've got to be dedicated and use those talents in the best way that they can be used. So Deadalus has got this whole new beginning with this new king. And the king is very pleased with Deadalus and doesn't want to lose him, especially when King Minos comes calling and sets up a trap. He sets up a little test of threading a conch shell. Anyone who can thread the conch shell wins a mass of treasures. And it's a special kind of thing that King Minos does, because he knows the only person that can thread it is Deadalus. And in fact, he comes across where Deadalus is, and someone does solve the problem, and therefore he knows that Deadalus is there. But King Cerberus and his daughters, in another great example of godliness, decide that they will... King Minos takes a bath, and basically they heat up all this water and they release it into the bath and boil him to death. Just pour a load of boiling water on him, and he dies. It's like, it's just like, how do these gods end up like this? I really, are they gods? Or they're just people who are just a bit bonkers again, as I always say. So that's another thing that isn't quite represented here. Icarus and the whole, escaping thing, and then King Minos getting boiled to death. Okay. And then you've got the nine of Pentacles. So the Nine of Pentacles here is obviously Deadalus is safe. King Minos is off his back. He's building his dynasty. It's a card of great satisfaction. After all that terrible toing and froing and, the highs and lows of that terrible journey, he's finally safe. He's in this place where everybody loves what he does. It's interesting because, like I say, because Icarus isn't mentioned here. I mean, it is greatly satisfied, as you can see here. But he does go through quite a grieving, mourning period for Icarus, who he blames for his death. But here he's obviously got over that, and he is. He's been through failure, he's been through success, he's been through humiliation, he's been through loss, and now really celebrates where he's at. A kind of great satisfaction, deep sense of self-value, high self-esteem, like a lot of failure, and then recovery often brings... In the book it says this card is like, I did it my way, and it might not have been perfect, but here I am with my self-satisfaction, and then I think that the 10 is almost just like building on that, because what it shows in the 10, it shows Deadalus when he's older and greyer, surrounded by grandchildren and maybe an older daughter. And again, you've got all the pentacles on the columns. You've still got all the vines. And this card is often representative of building a legacy that lasts past your lifetime. It's about giving not just of a material legacy, but it's giving of you've given something to the world. You've made your mark on the world. So the 10 of Pentacles is about I did it. I gave something back to the world. I'll be remembered. It's that kind of feeling. I'll be remembered. It's not my personal gift to the world. This lovely. This is what I did. I went through it, and now I left something for my family. I've left something in the world, and it's this kind of kind of immortality feeling. It's not immortality, but you know, it's that kind of, here it is, I was here, you know, I left my mark. So it's a card of, you know, great, you know, that great legacy. It's like, you know, leaving something like hereditary, a great bit of, here's my edifice of life. I came, I saw, I conquered, that kind of feeling. So let's go on to the court cards. They are kind of quite straightforward, I find. The Page of Pentacles is like, I think of the Page of Pentacles, this is Triptolemus. This is the character in the deck, the suit of Pentacles here, the Triptolemus. And if you think of Triptolemus as a gentle bud of a being, you know, a kind, gentle little, you know, the uprising of that earthliness, a gentle kind of energy of budding ideas again, budding ideas about nature, actually. Triptolemus really represents that lovely new growth. Imagine a little bud and the caring, nurturing it needs. It's about nurturing and caring new ideas, and that can be new feelings within yourself and actual new ideas that you might be working on and manifesting. So Triptolemus looking all quite shy and demure, as you can see. And yeah, so he's basically, when you get the page, it's like, okay, it's a sign to be mindful of caring and nurturing for what you've got on. And it's also a card of being in touch with animals and nature and the earth mysteries, food and hobbies. And it can be, it can suggest small amounts of money coming to you, like little gifts. But it's like a new idea that's, as you can see in the background, new growth, and just nurture it and care for it. Yes, and put your love and gentleness into it. Don't force it, just let it be. And then we have, obviously, after the page, we have the Knight of Pentacles. Now, the Knight of Pentacles isn't like Lord Flashheart of the Swords, or the Lover with the Cup, you know, the Knight of Cups, the fantasy lover, who adores women. The Knight of Pentacles, I tell you who I think about when I think of the Knight of Pentacles, and it really is quite, I think it's really fitting. If you don't know, do you know Samwise Gamgee in Lord of the Rings? That's the Knight of Pentacles for me, because the Knight of Pentacles is not a big heroic thing. The Knight of Pentacles is about, you know, see the beehives in the background. So he was taught by the dryads how to make cheese, how to create beehives, and how to cultivate olives. And then as he got older, he was taught by the muses in the healing ways and prophecy. And basically the Knight of Pentacles is really a loving, nature-loving, reliable, kind of hard-working guy that comes along and I shouldn't say plods along, but does plod along. You know, Samwise Gamgee in the films, The Lord of the Rings, he always was like fascinated with food and cooking, and you know, he loved just the basic down-to-earth kind of stuff. That's what it is, actually, down-to-earth. That's exactly what it is. So in this deck, the Knight of Pentacles, this is Aristeus. He is the son of Apollo, Aristeus, half Apollo, half human. But he's like really in touch with the earth, guardian of the flocks, he's known as, okay? So just a diligent, industrious kind of person that is, you know, just getting on with it, you know? So I think when you have this card, it's like, get on with it. Just work hard, be dependable, you know, be there, be humble. It is a card of real humbleness. and very much about just getting on with it. Just be there, get on with it, get on with your work, be diligent, be industrious, be versatile and ever changing like the earth. Okay, just kind of go with the flow. You think of like kind of Taurian energy, but not quite with the Knight. So just go with the flow, get on with it. Use all the gifts that you've got, and apply them. Just plod along, get on with it. Just slowly but surely kind of vibe with that card for me. So then we have the Queen of Pentacles. Now look at this image. I wonder if you see what I see. This is on Farley or on Parley. She is a widow, so therefore runs the estate, the kingdom. She's very good with money, very savvy with money. Okay, but she's very much known for her sensuality. And if you look at that card, do you see what I see? Do you see like a painting that is really quite focused on the lady garden? Does that cosmic gateway not get your attention? It looks like there's a big bush under that under that gown of hers, and she's kind of sitting quite askance, isn't she? Anyway, so the Queen of Pentacles is a sensual figure. She's savvy with money. She knows how to handle money. She went and bought Hercules from a slave market because he'd been booted out of his country and he was on a bit of a low, and she went and bought him, not for a slave, you understand. No, for a lover. So she went and saw a bargain, and she knows a bargain when she sees one, with that lovely rich abundant muff of hers. she went and bought Hercules, had 3 kids with him, and had a lovely life. So the Queen of Pentacles is about sensuality. It is about acknowledging the sensual desires within. It is about that. And it's also about recognizing the ability to hold and use money. It's about giving and receiving. It's about sharing resources. When I often see the Queen of Pentacles, I think a person, possibly a woman, who's really good with business acumen and really knows how to handle finances, and it could be something that's growing within you, and even if it's a man, obviously it's the feminine side of, and so she's a sensual woman who knows what she wants. She's holding that lovely bunch of grapes. And so when you come across on Parley and remember her sensuality, her touch with the senses, her feet are on the ground. Look, she's grounded. She understands pleasure and things of the earth, but she also understands money and how to basically share it and earn it and keep it and save it and account for it. So a good all-round figure there, I would say, in that woman with that lusciousness. So that is the Queen. And to finish off, a figure that you'll all be familiar with, as all kings are in the tarot, they are natural leaders, and the King of Pentacles is basically represented by King Midas, who we're all very familiar with. King Midas, who was granted a wish by Dionysus because he helped Dionysus's teacher recover from a drunken stupor. And so Dionysus granted him a wish, and he asked that everything he touched turn to gold. But he soon realized that was ridiculous because he couldn't eat or drink anything and he was on the verge of death. And he went to Dionysus and asked Dionysus to reverse the wish. And through this, King Midas learned a lot about what is to be valued. He learned about be careful what we wish for, how wishes can change with knowledge. And he learned many things about, and you'll see the golden river because he had to go and wash in this special river that also then turned to gold. So King Midas, he's a kindly guy, a little bit misguided in his wish because he already had a lot of money, yet still it didn't seem to be enough. So it's that idea of, okay, do just think about what you have and think about what you want. But this card in a reading can I think often depict a person that could come into your life and actually initiate some kind of reaction regarding again not just money but what you're aiming for. It could be something within you. It could be a very inspiring person that you come across who has those leadership skills and again business acumen and a way of dealing with finances and money, not unlike the Queen. But he's learned a very different lesson, the king here. So this is King Midas. So yes, he is an unashamed materialist. Loves it, wants to spend it, and really enjoys the benefits of being loaded. And having so much money, he barely knows what to do with it, but it still wasn't enough. He wanted more gold. So that, my lovely tarot friends, is the completion of the suits of the Mythic tarot deck. And I am going to be doing a four-part little series on the major arcana and the myths that run through the major arcana. So look out for that because some of these characters obviously are represented in the major arcana, all very interesting. So I really hope you enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed doing it, and have a lovely day, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.